First Bitcoin ATM. I'm at a website called coinfox.info. Maybe you never heard of them. I do a search every day for Bitcoin articles published in the last 24 hours, and the first couple of pages are all propaganda, and so I skip past those. But I'm deeply disturbed by an article that says Miami gets its first Bitcoin ATM, and the date is the 24th of August 2015. Why is Miami being held back? Because we have a totalitarian government, that's why. Because there are controls in place which is against the Constitution. The government is supposed to stay out of business, and it's meddling in all business affairs. The state of New York is the best example I can think of. Instead of the orders going from the people to the government to tell the government what we want, the government is in control in a totalitarian way, and they are telling us what hoops we have to jump through in order to do business. And then you wonder why the unemployment rate is 30% plus. 47 million people on food stamps. The labor force is 156 million. Do the math. Something is terribly wrong in America when Miami gets their first Bitcoin ATM the 24th of August 2015. And Greece gets 1,000 ATMs. Is America the leader or what? These so-called leaders are taking us into the abyss, the dark ages. All orders should come from the people to the government. Otherwise, the government is wrong and the world is upside down. We need a fucking pole shift to make things right again. We, the people, need to be in the driver's seat, not the fucking government. People in business are being held back by government. Government is producing all of the impedances. The Constitution says the government should stay the fuck out of business. They have no business in our business. You can't even make a fucking deposit into the bank without a cash transaction report going off to the fucking money mafia. What kind of fucking bullshit is this? U.S. troops are guarding the poppy fields in Afghanistan. What does that fucking tell you? The whole world knows that the CIA is the drug kingpin. And who do they work for? The fucking money mafia. So don't fool yourself that we're in Afghanistan delivering democracy to them. That's fucking bullshit. That's for consumption, propaganda, lies. The money mafia doesn't deliver democracy to anybody. They install their central banks and begin the process of draining the wealth from every fucking country on the planet. And that's what's really going on. Now, people, try not to laugh as you're listening to this, because some parts are hysterical. It's a brief article. I'll read it quickly. BitStop launched a Bitcoin ATM in Miami, Florida, and plans to expand in the area. This is the first Bitcoin ATM in Miami, according to Coin ATM Radar, and there's a link. I will give you the URL of this website in the video description. I followed the link, and they have a big balloon on the coast in Florida, in the vicinity of Miami, and I zoomed out, because on the map you can zoom out. I wanted to see if they covered the ATMs in Arizona. I wanted to see where the nearest one to me is, because that's the measure of freedom. The farther you have to go for an ATM, the more totalitarian your government is. And if you have to show your iris so they can scan it, or you have to show ID, you're not free. You are in slavery. The government has no fucking right to demand your identification to do any transaction, period. And the excuse they always use is that they're trying to catch the drug dealers. Go to Afghanistan, arrest everyone. They all work for the CIA. They are distributing cocaine and heroin all over the earth. Wake the fuck up. That's what's really going on in America and the world. Big fucking drug business, $5 trillion a year in profits. Of course the money mafia is there. There's money there. Next paragraph. The first ATM or BTM, ATM stands for automatic teller machine, and BTM stands for Bitcoin teller machine, as it is called on the BitStop's website, was installed in the Wynwood Cafe in Miami City Center. The cafe is part of the Wynwood Warehouse Project, the space dedicated to promotion of contemporary visual arts and cultural enrichment of the local community. The limitations that are put on purchases of bitcoins are unconstitutional, totalitarian in nature, and should all be abolished. Their excuse is they don't want anybody laundering money. You mean like HSBC does? Billions and billions and nobody has even spoken to harshly? What kind of fucking bullshit is this? The Bitcoin ATM enables users to buy Bitcoins with cash after scanning their US issued ID. Show your papers, please. This is Nazi Germany. Everyone must show their papers. And then they have to show their Bitcoin address on a mobile device. The daily limit is $300 per person. Now who the fuck set that limit? What's the limit at HSBC? $1 billion maybe? And when they get caught, why isn't anyone prosecuted if you're so fucking interested in finding the drug dealers and the money launderers? The average person doesn't think that's a little bit fucking suspicious? The ATM charges 9% fees? Who owns this? Western Union? We haven't seen a ripoff like that since Western Union. Is Western Union dead yet? I can't fucking wait. The commission is higher than the average 6.15% purchase fee calculated for 335 machines that support buying Bitcoin. Where? In the USA? In the state of Florida? The author forgot to tell you where these 335 machines are. It's probably the entire USA. Meanwhile, Greece has 1,000 fucking machines. What kind of fucking bullshit is this? BitStop invites organizations to collaborate and to become a BitStop, promising software, training, and support to potential partners. I don't understand the fucking sentence. Doesn't make any fucking sense. At 9% fee, we're not joining anything, asshole. 9% fee. Who the fuck do you think you are? The mafia? The IRS? At the moment, BitStop offers only to buy Bitcoin. However, BitStop Retail, that will presumably allow users to cash out their cryptocurrency, is announced as coming soon on the website. For selling Bitcoin, no ID will be needed. Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you for allowing us to do something with our own money without your fucking permission! After using BitStop, ATM users will be able to log into their account on the website with their ID number and mobile phone number they used for the ATM transaction. One more paragraph and we're done. Currently, the U.S. is the leading country by the number of Bitcoin ATMs in the world, with 151 of them out of a total of 456 in the world located in the States. That's a fucked up sentence. 151 of them are located in the States, and there are 456 ATMs in the world, and Greece is getting 1,000? What kind of fucking bullshit is this? CoinFox reported recently on the plans of a Greek Bitcoin company, Qubits, and a Greek Bitcoin exchange, BTC Greece, to install 1,000 ATMs in Greece and to supply the local population with cryptocurrency. Aliona Chappell is the author. I turned on my computer and I looked up the price of Bitcoin, and I was shocked to see it had fallen to $216, and it had something to do with Bitfinex going offline for a while. I don't know anything about it. I found this article, decided to read it. I'm going back to my research now, and I'm going to find out what happened at Bitfinex that causes this collapse in price. Bitcoin is not for buying and selling, it's for hoarding. You buy it and you hold long term because it has a limited supply. The more the demand grows, the higher the price will be bid up, because you have to buy from somebody who has them, and if nobody wants to sell, the price will skyrocket overnight. This idea that Bitcoin is close to $200 is fucking bullshit. This currency should be $2,000 at least. There are lots of problems with Bitcoin. It's too fucking complicated. I talk to sophisticated people, college professor for one, and he doesn't understand it. He's got a business. He does $8,000 a month in business, and he doesn't understand it. So he can't use it in his business. So what is the solution? Everyone must study this new technology. Don't jump off the diving board and buy a bunch of Bitcoins until you know if there's any water in the swimming pool. Check to see if there's broken glass and sharp rocks and crocodiles. Check the temperature of the water. See if there's any chlorine in the water. You know, there are lots of things you can check when you just dive off a fucking diving board. And with Bitcoin, it's an investment. If you're a gambler, you just fucking plunge in and hand them all your money and it's gone like a fucking gambler. But if you're an investor, you ask 1,000 questions before you invest 1 cent. It doesn't cost anything to download a wallet. It doesn't cost anything to synchronize with the network, and that'll take you 2 fucking months if you go for the full node. So get your wallet, start downloading the blockchain, and maybe in 2 months you'll be ready to make your first purchase. I would advocate that you use a very small amount of money just to see how it works. A few dollars is all. Now I want you to notice that in this article, on the left, you will see several exchanges. If they require your identification, don't fucking do business with them. Find another way to buy Bitcoins, because it's none of the fucking government's business what you do with money you earned. It is not their fucking money, it is your fucking money. And don't do business with BTCE. In 2013, all I heard was people lost their money, they lost their coins. I think it was all inside jobs. Know a little bit about the company that you're dealing with. If you buy from an individual and you meet at a cafe where they have internet, you can invest a very small amount of money, and even if you have to overpay, it's not a big deal. You're not going to lose more than a few dollars. That's okay. But when you make a big purchase like $10,000, $20,000, then you want to be careful. Now, the fascist government has a whole lot of control, so they want to know everything you're doing with your fucking money. And we have to resist this. This is none of their fucking business. Nothing makes me angrier than a totalitarian government that assumes that they are in control of our lives. No, we are in control of our lives, and we don't want the fucking fascists anymore. We want a fucking divorce. If this was a lard-ass bitch that I was married to, I would get rid of the fucking bitch. I'd be filing divorce so fast that you might think I'm desperate to get out of the marriage. Well, I am. When your government is a bloated bitch, it's time to cut her loose and let her float downstream. 50 governors should be stampeding Washington with instructions that we are no longer part of your bullshit organization. Find some other fucking country to rule over, because we're not going for it anymore. We are officially independent of you. Take your government agencies and go somewhere else. Your services are no longer needed here. We certainly do not need a Federal Reserve with a checkbook that never bounces a check, because it allows them to buy anyone. It allows them to buy any parcel of real estate, any corporation. It allows them to bribe Congress and the Supreme Court, and look at the evidence that they have bribed these people. It's overwhelming. And who is doing anything about it? Certainly not anybody in Congress. They're on their side. Congress is on the side of the totalitarian government. Why the fuck do we need them? Secession is the peaceful cure. If you march on Washington with a loaded gun like Adam Kokesh did, you wind up with a fucking prison sentence and a criminal record. This was a promising young man who fucked up big time. Who is counseling him? Then they bust into his house, find drugs in his house, and charge him with drug crimes as well. That is a stupid approach. And he's a smart guy. So what's going on with him? Was he high? Don't follow in the footsteps of Adam Kokesh. You will be in prison and you will have a criminal record, and you'll be lucky if they don't kill you. Work towards spreading the truth and seceding from the Union. We don't need this fucking government anymore. They are too criminal. We got homosexuals in the White House, one dressed in drag, pretending to be a heterosexual couple, kissing world leaders on the fucking lips. This could start a nuclear war when the foreign leaders find out where those lips have been. What kind of fucking bullshit is this? The people don't want a Marxist in the White House. They don't want a fucking Kenyan-born homosexual in the White House. We want a constitutional president if we're going to have one, and if we're not going to have one, then fuck you. We don't need a federal government. We don't need a Federal Reserve, and we don't need a fucking IRS mafia. Let's just get rid of all of them with secession. Your state, my state will be independent countries. We don't need a fucking passport to go from one state to another. And I think we should do away with the passport system worldwide. Who the fuck is government to tell us that we can't travel anywhere we want on our fucking planet? It isn't their fucking planet. And the only drug dealers and money launderers that we're concerned about are them. All right, I've said my piece. I have struggled to maintain my composure while delivering my 2 cents worth. And now it's your turn. Vent your fucking anger. Record your own videos. Put them up on YouTube to help spread the truth. Because if the people don't have the truth, they're not living in reality. They're living in a fucking terrarium. Thanks for watching. Miami gets first Bitcoin ATM. I made a website called coinfox.info. Maybe you never heard of them. I do a search every day for Bitcoin articles published in the last 24 hours, and the first couple of pages are all propaganda, and so I skip past those. But I'm deeply disturbed by an article that says Miami gets its first Bitcoin ATM, and the date is the 24th of August 2015. Why is Miami being held back? Because we have a totalitarian government, that's why. Because there are controls in place which is against the Constitution. The government is supposed to stay out of business, and it's meddling in all business affairs. The state of New York is the best example I can think of. Instead of the orders going from the people to the government to tell the government what we want, the government is in control in a totalitarian way, and they are telling us what hoops we have to jump through in order to do business. And then you wonder why the unemployment rate is 30% plus. 47 million people on food stamps. The labor force is 156 million. Do the math. Something is terribly wrong in America when Miami gets their first Bitcoin ATM the 24th of August 2015. And Greece gets 1,000 ATMs. Is America the leader or what? These so-called leaders are taking us into the abyss, the dark ages. All orders should come from the people to the government. Otherwise, the government is wrong and the world is upside down. We need a fucking pole shift to make things right again. We, the people, need to be in the driver's seat, not the fucking government. People in business are being held back by government. Government is producing all of the impedances. The Constitution says the government should stay the fuck out of business. They have no business in our business. You can't